Okay. Um, this took a little bit of setup to get to, but I'm glad that I'm finally doing this. So, what do I have you here for today? If you can bear with my bad quality mic for now, I am here to explain the beautiful world of Embers ad infinitium to you. Uh, it's a novel that really goes under the radar for Cuttlefish Who Loves Diving's works. If you are a part of the web novel community, there's almost zero chance that you have not already heard of some of his work, like Lord of the Mysteries, Throne of Magical Arcana. But one of his in Circle of Inevitability, which is just a uh, continuation of Lord of the Mysteries, but you know what I'm saying? But one problem child that goes under the radar way too often, I would have to say, is Embers ad infinitum. I'm boggled by like how much the community has failed this, and to a certain point, where can I say the community failed the story? Like maybe the author, because it is a hard story to get into. As somebody who's a diehard Embers ad infinitum fan, I can tell you right now, it is maybe a magnitude harder to get into than Lord of the Mysteries. And if you've read Lord of the Mysteries, then you know that it's hard to get started. It's very iffy um, at the beginning. But here I am trying to bring attention to that. So, to this problem child story that has even more uh, walls in its way, specifically walls created by the author himself. So, I don't know, let's get into it. So, I was thinking, like, how do I um, sell you on this novel? How do I better make it? How do I make it easier for you to appreciate Embers Ad Infinitum? And half of me wants to just straight up read it to you. Um, and I don't know if I can get away with that. Maybe I should. The other half of me, though, wants to give you just an overall, like, raw summary of the first chapter, and then maybe do that for the next 10 chapters, because really, it's only the first 10 chapters that you'll get into Embers Ad Infinitum, and you'll have, one second, uh, that you'll have trouble uh, paying attention, basically. Now, this is funny, since I have trouble paying attention to a very heavy extent. So, mm, I don't think there's much else to say. Let's get into it. Okay. Um, I think I'm gonna start by reading this story first, so I'll get back to you guys. I've already read this before, like at least 6 times over, not including the times I had to reread it my first time. So this is just me recapping, getting it fresh in my mind. So I'll be right back. All right, welcome back, and let's give it a rundown. I have my notes right here, i.e., the text I just read, and yeah, um, God, just like getting back into it. It's, I mean, nostalgic. I don't know what to say. I'm making this out to be more than it is. It's a good novel, I'll tell you that much. But I, I sometimes I think I overhype it the way I talk about it. It's my favorite novel. I can admit that's its faults. And now that I'm rereading it, I'm realizing that one of its quote unquote faults is not really even a fault. Like a lot of these names are just gonna be confusing. Like if you're American, European, you don't speak. Uh, well, these names. I don't want to make assumptions. I'm assuming. I'm assuming because the author, he's from, where is cuttlefish? Who loves diving from? He is from China. Okay, so he's from China. These are Chinese names, so they're confusing. Like, for example, let me just pick out random name. Right. Uh, Give me 1 second. Oh my gosh. Mengjia. Okay, here we go. Mengjia. M as in mom, ENG, Jia. So XIA. I'm sure I'm butchering that in some way, shape, or form. You're just not gonna remember those names. And I think this is something I took for granted when I first started reading book myself, book, web novel. Um, I I kind of just glossed over it. My way of reading web novels at this point in time in my life, I would have um, been more than used to just not being able to read some of the words. I mean, some of the names. Like I would have to get comfortable being uncomfortable with names until I would get that instinctual recognition that, oh, this is so and so, and some of these names just won't matter. I mean, like it's like any other story. You know, you'll remember the name if you see it enough, and if it's you see it enough, then you know it's important. It's important enough a name to remember. Now that's one rabbit hole to go down, but I'm gonna bring us back and go back to the beginning. So our first chapter starts off with the main character. I mean, not the main character. A group of girls. They are all waiting to get their marriage assigned partner. The author does a very clever explanation in the sense that he has the girls discussing with each other, "Oh, I hope I get so and so as my marriage assigned partner," and that's how we find out. One, there's marriage. The company that they work for assigns marriage partners to people who do not find a spouse before they turn 20 and graduate from university within the company. Now, the company is one big underground structure. We'll get to that later. But all you need to know is that the company needs more babies. More babies means more workers and more people to be put to work, basically. So to encourage that, they have mandatory marriage after 20 years old. What else? What else? What else? What else? And then we see that there's elitism in this faction of the story. They talk about, oh, the girl in the lead glanced at her companion. Have you forgotten that besides those of our age, there are those whose wives have already passed away? Some of them are already in their 40s or 50s. They are highly defective due to the lack of genetic enhancements while they were embryos. So, for one, this gives tells us that hey, if you don't have a child before your spouse dies, then you get 3 years of grief time, and then you're automatically put back into the lotto in the story, or at least specifically this faction in the story. And two, there's elitism. There's a portion of the population in this specific faction who are, and I'm kind of giving away that this specific faction only has access to this miracle genetic enhancement that they all get stuck with right now uh, as an embryo, and that genetic enhancement is way more potent when you're like 0 years old. So there's elitism for people who got it when they were 20, 30, compared to when people born with a genetic enhancement, because the genetic enhancement increases your looks. I mean, makes your looks look better. Don't ask me how that works. Uh, increases your height, your muscles, endurance, yada yada. They don't say that specifically here, but it's implied. Genetic enhancement. What else are you gonna get from that? Uh, and that's one subtle. Like, I keep saying subtle, like it's so um, devious, but it's a dynamic in the story, and this is just one of the many that you'll find. So next in the and this is all in the first chapter too. This is a lot of information dropping, and that's another point that I think gets to people. Um, you know, I'm making a lot of assumptions here that maybe this is too much for people, but who knows? Maybe this isn't. Uh, I can only talk from my own experience, and try to guide you like if you were 13-year-old version of me. Well, not 13-year-old, 15-year-old version of me who was reading this 15, 6. Who cares? Who cares? The company is divided into three classes. The D rank that goes from D1 to D9. D1 is the bottom, bottom, bottom tier. D9 is the upper bottom tier. D so D1 gets less energy, and their apartments are basically crappier. That's all you really need to know. D9, they get more energy. Their apartments are a little bit crappy still, but they're better than D1. And obviously varies across the spectrum of D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6. And then there's the second class in the story in this faction called the M class, which are the management. And as you know, like you can probably guess from where I'm going and the fact that this faction is called the company, that management has it a lot better. They're the directors, board members, and chief scientists. They have like on average per capita 10 times the space that a D class, and forgot to mention, D class are called employees. Um, M class is called management, and they get about 10 times the space that a D class would get. And they get a healthy energy quota so that they can run their appliances. And that's a that's something you have to pay attention to, because this is a world set in the apocalypse where energy, food, resources aren't just out there. Even though this specific faction will have you forgetting that sometimes, it works in a beautiful way that, oh, we do have all this futuristic technology and biological enhancements, but at the same time, the world is in ruins, and we are actually like fighting for our lives basically every other day. And then finally, the last biggest rank is Big Boss. That's a new, as the story says, Big Boss. It was held by an unusually mysterious lady. No one knows what Big Boss looks like. All they know is that there's a Big Boss, and it's a she. Um, we get. I kind of led on to this earlier, that if you don't get a spouse before 20 years old, then the company will assign you a spouse. But granted, if you do, then you don't have to worry about the whole marriage assignment thing. Picture around. Only two more men. All right, so enter our male group. Now, originally we were with the female group. Now we're talking about the males. They walk into the cafeteria because this is all being held in place in the cafeteria, where there's a big screen in the cafeteria where they can see their partners' names show up on the screen so that they can find out, oh, I'm assigned to so and so, and you get it. So enter the male group, and immediately the story. This is where the comedy comes in. I feel, I feel like I kind of ruined the comedy by saying that. No one funny ever says, "Here's where you're gonna laugh." Okay, um, a man about 1.75 meters tall with a refreshing crew cut glanced at the few old tables and the benches and high back chairs around them in the rec center, then nervously spoke to his companion beside him. Sheng Jing Yao, what kind of wife do you think the company will assign me? Now, I will think this is going to become a run on joke, and I love it because 1.75 meters is 5'8" in feet in inches, and I'm 5'8", and the entire story, the character that's speaking right now, his name is not revealed until the end of the chapter, well, closer to the end of the chapter, but Long Yu Hong is very insecure. We're getting introduced to two of our main characters. There's eventually going to be four main characters, three main characters, but four main characters, and uh, Long Yuhong is one of them, and the person he's talking to, Sheng Jian Yao, the main character, is not having it. So I think it's better. I just speak. I just read it out. The young man named Sheng Jingyao turned his head to glance at his companion, and he was like, "First, you'll have to be assigned before we can discuss what she'll be like." He was wearing dark blue two-piece suit. The muscles on his arms bulged, creasing the fabric ever so slightly. He looked masculine and strong. This guy is my workout inspiration. I have a lot of workout inspiration, but Sheng Yao is one of them. Ha! I won't be that unlucky, will I? There are only two more men than women this time, so this implies that in certain cases, if there are more of one sex than the other, then in that situation, the main that person would go on without a partner for however long it takes for the next lottery to go on, the next marriage lottery to go on. Uh, More men than women this time. The 1.75 meter tall man with average features laughed. His expression gradually turned solemn as he rambled. Could it be that they won't like me? I'm only 1.75 meters tall after genetic enhancement. I'm not handsome either. My grades are only average. Dot dot dot. I love this story. I love it. Without getting too in depth, I just that's gonna become a running joke. He'll say this shit in the middle of a very dangerous situation, and he'll doubt himself, and he'll get very insecure. Um, and it's hilarious because he's so serious, but he's like, but I'm also 1.75 after genetic enhancement. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad. And then Sheng Jinjiao said solemnly, "That's not the point. The point is that your feminine name." Feminine name? What's wrong with name Long Yu Hong? My father's surname is Long, and my mother's name has the word Hong in it. How meaningful is that? Long Yu Hong muttered to himself in confusion. That's true. The company's assignment doesn't care about how tall or good looking I am. It's said that it's all random after any blood related possibilities are eliminated. Ah, will they mistake me as a woman because of my name and assign me to a husband? What should I do if that happens? So obviously we're establishing that no incest or like crossbreeding is happening, far generations removed, and plus they'll reveal it later in the story, and I don't think it's big enough for me to really call it a spoiler. They take in outsiders, so it's new blood being added to the gene pool. You don't have to worry about crossbreeding from this little indoor ecosystem of people, essentially. Xing Jingyao sized up Long Kong and said, organ transplant, organ transplant, neural reconstruction, artificial uterus, a perfect solution. And yeah, let me stop. Long Yuhong laughed awkwardly. How is that possible? I mean, how can they get it wrong? Every document about me states I'm a male. What a strange train of thought you have. Should a normal person be thinking of making a complaint? Question mark. Without waiting for Cheng Jingyao's response, he added, "So why is my name the key? A name represents a person's destiny. A random assignment is all about one's destiny." Long Yuhong expression froze for 2 seconds. I knew you couldn't give me any constructive ideas. Just as he said that, he asked, "What kind of wife do you want?" Sheng Jingyao lifted his chin and said, "I don't need one. The company has insufficient resources. The humans above the ashlands are in dire straits. The curse of famine, infection, mutation, and beastification still cloaks the entire world. How can I marry?" Dot dot dot. Long Yuhong laughed. "You're getting better at joking." Sheng Jingyao laughed, looked at him, and said with a smile, "I've already applied to give up today's central assignment." "Are you serious? Question mark. That's impossible. How could the company agree to your request? Exclamation mark. Question mark. I shouldn't say that out loud, should I? Is that going to come annoying? Ah, who cares? I almost believed you. Long Yuhong was shocked at first, but then he let out a sigh of relief. As soon as he finished speaking, Sheng Jingyu, the person in charge of the rec center on the 495th floor, rec center, not cafeteria, my bad. He walked to the LCD screen and began to adjust it. The old man with white hair, staggering footsteps, was once a part of the security department. He was in charge of expedition members and he had always been a D7 team leader. Later, he left the security department due to his old age and was promoted to become a D8 manager who was in charge of the rec center on this floor. So there are managers in the D class employee section. It's just that they're not on the same level as actual M rank managers, like management. Sheng Jingyao and Long Yuang were very curious, and that's a very interesting, like, uh, subplot on like how company life is. I wouldn't know, of course, because I haven't joined the corpo workforce yet, but uh, I'd like to think that this novel gave me a little bit more insight into it, no matter how fictional. All right, all right, it's about to begin, Xinjiang, and basically this rest of uh, the chapter ends off with them waiting for the results. Okay, so I was explaining it as I went, so there's not much for me to recap on. All I wanted to really say is that that was a beautiful first chapter, but it's also nothing happened. Like you got fed some information. You got fed more information. You got confused with names, most likely, if you were like me. And you also I don't have a beard. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't want a beard. Um, got the information, then nothing happened. Nothing like objectively exciting happened, other than like a few jokes cracked between two buddies as they're waiting for their future marriage assignment. Um, a first chapter like that is hard. I mean, it's difficult, especially in web novel community in general. I think I want to make a video on that itself, like how difficult it is to capture um, attention. I mean, like web novels are geared towards the younger audience that's looking for action, fights, and so on. So whenever you try to break the mold and have a story-driven story instead of constant fights, like a certain webtoon that shall not look as uh, you'll find that a lot of people just won't want to dig into the novel. And I mean, you can't fault them. Everybody has their preferences, and they'll be bound to change as time goes on. But still, it's hard seeing good work like this go to waste. That being said, I think that's it. Thank you for staying for as long as you did. Uh, I'm gonna follow up with the second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, fifth chapter, sixth chapter, seventh chapter, eighth chapter, ninth chapter, 10th chapter. And once I'm finished with that, then I will be. I think I'm gonna go on for as long as it takes to get to a part where things are interesting. And when they get interesting, you will love it. Um, I don't know you personally, so maybe you won't, but hope you do. So, with that being said, let's hope that my voice isn't too corrupted and call it a night. Thank you.